So there was a documentary released called Chris Brown: A History of Violence. And yesterday, a press release came out, and Chris Brown's legal team announced that he is filing a defamation suit against Ample and Warner Brothers. The statement shares that before the release of the film, they were notified of the false and misleading narrative that accused Chris Brown of SA and witness tampering. Chris's legal team made it clear that the accusations were discredited in court and dismissed as baseless. Chris' attorney, Levy McCathern, said that this, quote, case is about protecting the truth. It was noted that a portion of the $500 million they are seeking will be donated to survivors of SA. And so I have a little bit of the document here. I took a screenshot for us. And so this is the release that was put out. It says basically the same thing. Their law firm is representing singer, songwriter, and rapper Chris Brown in a $500 million lawsuit.
Does it really say and rapper?
It does. It says, like, it's got their official, what's it called? Letterhead. Then it says release date, January 2021. January 21st, 2025. Sorry. It says for immediate release, bold letters. And then it also says in bold letters, Chris Brown files $500 million lawsuit against Ample LLC and Warner Brothers in response to a defamatory documentary. And then it says it says all the legal, people involved. And it says are representing singer dash songwriter and rapper Chris Brown in a $500 million lawsuit filed on January 21st in the Supreme Court of Los Angeles against Ample LLC and Warner Brothers, along with individuals responsible for producing Chris Brown: A History of Violence.
Interesting.
They say round up everybody. You know what I'm saying? Round them up. Round them up.
But let me ask you something.
Oh, go ahead. I want to read one paragraph here, but go ahead. You ask me first.
Maybe you should read your paragraph first.
All right. It says, despite being notified of false and misleading narrative accusing Mr. Brown of heinous acts, including SA and evidence tampering, allegations that had been discredited in court and dismissed as baseless, the defendants released the documentary on October 27th, 2024, without regard of Mr. Brown prioritizing profits over journalistic integrity. In doing so, no phone. I don't want to copy and paste anything. Thank you. In doing so,
you could join their band up there.
In doing so, they sensationalize debunked claims to drive viewership and revenue, recklessly damaging Mr. Brown's reputation and spreading false information to the public. To be clear, Mr. Brown has never been found at fault of any type of S-word crime. And so they even go as far as to tell the people, and this is where I think they messed up, who Jane Doe is in the doc. So in the doc, there's a woman who's named as Jane Doe. Yeah. They put her name right in the doc, right in their document press release here. And it says like her allegations are false and were discredited in court years ago. Bless you.
Thanks.
So yeah, they go in. There's more. Y'all can find it and read it. It's on the internet. But I thought reading at least that first paragraph was important.
Let me ask you something.
Ask me.
You think Chris Brown was sitting around last week and he was, I don't know, scrolling through doom scrolling on Instagram or somewhere, and he noticed that that the boy filed a defamation suit. You think that Chris saw that and said, you know what? Now, if this nigga could file a defamation suit, I for damn sure can file one.
I think his was in the works first because um this says that they notified HBO was or whatever, the people involved in the doc were notified prior to the doc even coming out that these were false allegations.
I mean, I was being
So,
silly, but
oh, I'm sorry.
no, it's all good. Yeah, I'm sure you're right. The doc came out a while ago.
Yeah, I figure
In
since
timing.
if you knew before October or in October, because it came out in the end and towards the end of October, if you knew prior, then you probably
Yeah.
been getting your ducks in a row,
Mhm.
gathering evidence, reaching out to different legal places
And timing is everything. Um,
to see what could you do. Probably also they wanted to let the full thing run
right.
before, like, because it was on the banner of the app. It was one of
Mhm.
those kind of things. So
Yeah.
they probably were watching and waiting to see how many weeks it was on that banner. So you could go in court and say, hey, look, this was on the front of the banner. This is as soon as you open the app, this is what you saw for, I don't know, 3 weeks, 8 weeks, 5 months, whatever. I mean,
Hmm.
obviously not 5 months, but you get my point.
Right.
Yeah.
Um,
And I'm going to say good for them. Fuck them. I said this when we found out the doc was coming out. I asked, at what point is this just an assault on black men with some of these docs that they're doing? And yeah, it's not all Warner Brothers specifically or ID specifically, but it's just like, yo, like, all right, do your doc, whatever. People are public figures. I get it. But at what point are we just ODing? You know what I'm saying? Like, where's the line? And so I'm glad this is happening. I'm glad it's happening because it will probably give people pause to do these things in the future. Because, yeah, you could do a doc, but you can't just do whatever the hell you want and then promote it with all your billions of dollars and your huge conglomerate companies at the behest of, like, not the behest, but at the, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know the word at this moment, but
at
while
his
someone else is suffering. What you say?
at his expense.
At his expense. Thank you. Sometimes when you podcast, the words don't all come to your brain because
That's
you're
true.
doing it on the fly and unscripted. But yeah, it's like just doing this at people's expense, and people have families and loved ones and kids who are gonna see these things. And don't get me wrong, it's fine. I love docs, but let's have some integrity, like this thing says, right? And I said that months ago when we found out this doc was coming out. I was very upset, and so I feel like good for you. I hope he wins the 500 mil. And more so, I hope this gives these huge conglomerates pause when they fuck with black men like this.
Okay. Um, yeah, I'm curious if he'd win a suit like this,
Mm-hmm.
considering there have been a lot of accusations about him over the years, and
Mm-hmm.
I just wonder um, if that weakens his credibility in a suit like this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
The
And
press release was saying, and this may answer your question, the press release was saying that most of the doc, it says that Jane Doe, who they name in the press release, they say
mhm,
was like the center of the doc.
okay.
And they're saying that her allegations and claims were already dismissed in court years and years ago and
Mhm.
disproven years and years ago.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the doc. I'm only telling you what the press release said. In fact, when we spoke about it back in October, I said, I am not watching this. And I did not watch it.
Yeah. I haven't seen it, so I don't know exactly how it went.
Mhm.
I do know that there was a Jane Doe in the doc and all of that, but honestly, the doc, people talked about it for like a couple days, and then that was it. People are not even talking about the Diddy doc that came out on Peacock. So I haven't really heard anybody say anything about it since it
Neither. I
came
know
out.
cats are waiting for that 50 Cent one.
Right, but I just feel like the 50 Cent one is going to be biased. So I
Oh,
would rather
absolutely.
I would rather watch someone else's doc where they have less of a stake in it, I guess.
I mean,
Um,
Peacock called their shit The Making of a Bad Boy, so I don't know how unbiased it is, but I understand what you're saying.
well, 50 Cent hates Diddy. Is that not
No,
correct?
I'm with you. I'm saying that the name and of the Peacock doc and the trailer we saw paint a pretty specific narrative. So I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying I don't know if they did that either. Is my point.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Because 50 absolutely has a bone to pick with Diddy. I totally agree. I just, based on the trailer we saw, I don't know. Let me say, I don't know. I don't know if Peacock did a good job of trying to show a balance thing here. I think they were also on some like, hey, look, this guy's foul, and let's show you how foul he been since the beginning of time.
Well, I guess I don't think that it's meant to be balanced. I'm not looking for it to be balanced. I think when a documentary is about a person assaulting people, it's not going to be balanced. Or if a documentary is about like someone that did a bad thing, it's probably not going to spend most of its time or half of its time even trying to show you how this person was also good. It's going to spend most of its time trying to further the narrative that this person is bad or there's turmoil around a situation or something like that. So I'm not necessarily expecting it to be balanced. Um, but I do think that I'm expecting 50 cents to be more salacious.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Um, so I don't know. I haven't seen the Peacock doc yet. My plan is to watch it.
Okay,
It's probably the only thing that I didn't catch over the weekend. I watched Jerry Springer. I watched Chappelle. I watched, and that was the one thing where I was just kept putting it off. So I have not seen it yet,
it's all good.
but I do want to watch it because I just want to. Apparently, there's like a bombshell that gets dropped. That's why I'm surprised that people are not
Okay.
talking about it. But I also think that people are very much trying to distance themselves from this. There's a bit of, this will be the last thing I say, but there's a bit of, I don't like the word trauma because I feel like trauma gets overused. But
Okay.
there's a bit of where a lot of us are invested in these artists, these public figures, these people who somehow distantly impact our lives, right? So when we find out that they did something awful, terrible, we also have a reaction to it,
Right.
right? And sometimes the way that people cope is distance.
Mhm.
Um, I'm wondering if that's why. I'm wondering if people are like don't want to deal with this right now. There's also a whole lot of other stuff going on in the world at this very moment.
Right.
Um, so it could be that as well. I don't want to downplay that either, but I just wonder if that's why I thought this was going to have a lot more buzz. Um, and
All right, but wait, what do you
obviously,
think about this Chris Brown stuff? It kind of became a
that's
Diddy conversation.
sorry. um, well, like I said, I'm curious to see if if this is something that goes to trial. I'm curious to see how that this plays out because is there has he lost his credibility over the years for something like this to stick?
Hmm.
I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know if I'm ready to uh, roll with how you put it. Um, I just think that this is something I want to watch play out. I don't have a hope or a want in terms of an outcome, but I do think that I am curious to see where this goes because I understand exactly why he's claiming defamation, but I'm also thinking to myself, if it is documented that you have been accused so many times of the same things over and over again, I wonder, does it even matter? I don't know how the law works in that way. Um,
Gotcha.
so I'm just curious to see how it plays out. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Chris is an innocent person who is some angel and has never done anything. But I do think them coming out with a doc out of nowhere when he hasn't done anything recently
Mhm.
is kind of like a witch hunt. It's like he's been just minding his business and doing great things on tour, selling out arenas all over the world. Where did this come from? Why is this happening?
Mhm.
And so that was my frustration with this doc. Like, don't get me wrong, with Diddy, the onslaught of docs that are coming us because there's a current situation that has been unveiling itself in the last couple of months. But Chris been low, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I had such a strong reaction
Mhm.
in October. Excuse me. Such a strong reaction in October, and that's why I'm still like, yeah, fuck that.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I just wanted to make that clear, so it's clear that I'm not just like, he's an angel. He's God's gift to the planet. He has never done anything wrong. No, not saying that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I
Because
understand.
they'll be in the comments like, what? Attack against a black man. That black man did blah, 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 blah,
Oh
blah,
yeah,
blah, blah.
absolutely. Because no,
So I
I
gotta
mean,
say this. That way I can respond in the comments and be like, fast forward to this point when I say he's not innocent.
it's also different when you've seen, excuse me, when you see what a person has done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look at how many people needed to see. I hate to go back to Diddy, but once
It's
they
okay.
saw the video,
All right.
the infamous video, it
Dave
was
Chappelle
like
said I kicked the woman in the head and forgot.
it was cemented for some people. Like, oh, this person is a really terrible person, right?
Right.
Um, I think it's kind of the same thing with Chris Brown.
Mm-hmm.
People can cry time. It's been a long time, but the reality is we saw her face. We
Mm-hmm.
saw what she looked like. We're probably not going to forget that we saw that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what happens. Those things stay with you. If somebody says something egregious about you, it
Mm-hmm.
stays with you. Like, people remember it.
Yeah.
When you have physical proof of something, when you can see it, it's even more etched in your brain. You never really forget it.
Right.
So, for most of us, some people repress memories, whatever. But I think that's why 20 years later it comes up again. I think that's why. I think it's like one of those things. And don't get me wrong, it was low hanging fruit for the production company. Easily, right?
Yeah.
Because they needed a face for their initiative. They needed
Right.
someone popular
Right.
and buzzy that they
Right.
could, you know, he was an easy sell. He's had
Yeah.
multiple accusations over the years. They could build a story around him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but it's one of those things. It's etched in your brain. I'll never forget. Like, I could see it right now. What her face looked like.
Got you.
And I think they know that. I think that the people who are creating television know that, and they're gonna ride with that because that is going to make the money ultimately.
Sure.
So I'm not saying it's right, but we just talked about ethics in television yesterday, so it's not
Right.
always right. It just kind of is what
Mm-hmm.
it is.
No, I got you. I understand.